You are joining Making a Difference with Melissa Clark, a new show that shares the compelling stories and voices of well-known and everyday people who change the world in big and small ways. Enjoy our guests, call in, or just listen to be inspired. For this show was made with you in mind. Please join us every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with our special guests. And you can listen to our recast at www.melissaclarkshow.com.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us here on Making a Difference. I'm Melissa Billy Clark. I am so excited to have this wonderful man with us today, Mr. Michael Kutcher. He is such an inspiration. We're going to go through his life story. Michael Kutcher is a working professional living with cerebral palsy. He has been through his fair share of scares. At the age of 13, he was diagnosed with viral cardiomyopathy, which I have a hard time saying. It is a condition where the heart muscles weaken. His heart grew 4 times the normal size, and he was told he had 3 to 4 weeks to live. Shortly after that, he went into cardiac arrest and was given 48 hours. And then a donor came in and saved his life. He is a motivational speaker with a can-do attitude, and for people who have cerebral palsy, an advocate for organ donation as well. Watch Michael in action.
People also ask me, Michael, how do you get so slim? How do you look so good? Keep that figure, looking good. Well, he's been eating my food ever since I was in the womb. I mean, that's Jabba Hutt if I ever saw it. That's a big baby.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you for allowing me to be on your show today.
Thank you, Michael, so much. Michael, the clip that we just saw, what I love about your lectures is that you are very entertaining while speaking, and being entertaining runs in your family. Your fraternal twin brother is Ashton Kutcher. Tell us about growing up and the support that you had in your family with everything that you went through, please.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, we, born and raised in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, in a normal middle-class family. My parents, worked hard all their lives to provide for their family, and it was myself, my twin brother, of course, and our older sister. And it was a typical family. What was great about the family that I had was the sense of inclusion. Even though I did have a disability, no one really spoke about it. No one, I would say no one acknowledged it to the point where Michael was different. I would do the same things that my brother would do. I would do the same things my sister would do. I may just have to do them a little bit differently, or I might have to try harder to be able to get over, the setbacks or the difficulties that I had with my disability. So my family was just very loving and inclusive. And those are the memories that I have about my family.
Tell us what cerebral palsy is, please.
Yeah, cerebral palsy is one of the number one motor disabilities, and it affects about 17 million people worldwide. 1 in about 325 children are affected with it. It's a little bit difficult to diagnose. It's often misdiagnosed as well. So the numbers are skewed a little bit. But what it is it is a disability that affects the brain. And it's even though there's really no known cause of it, it's thought to be caused by some trauma, especially during birth, to the brain. And how it affects people is there's various types or severities of disability of cerebral palsy, and it can affect people severely to where they have speech issues. They can't speak. Maybe they have trouble eating. Maybe they're utilizing mobility devices or wheelchairs. So the severity is all over the spectrum.
Right.
And myself, I have a very mild form of cerebral palsy, which affects my speech, my eyesight. My hearing, so I'm deaf in one ear, and also it affects my right side. So I have less movement on the right side of my body.
Wow.
So,
Well, you're able to have a wonderful life. You have a wife and child. You're a assistant vice president to Transamerica.
Yep. So I've been with the organization about 16 years, and started my career there in finance. And so I'm the assistant vice president, Transamerica Retirement Solutions. I say it's a kind of a glorified title for just someone who's selling pension plans. But I really enjoy my day job, and being productive. And I'm fortunate to where cerebral palsy is less severe in my case, and I do have the ability to live predominantly a quote unquote normal productive life. I have a beautiful family, wife, my son, and then I've got two stepchildren as well.
Oh, God bless. And what got me impressed was your series, all the series that you took. So you have your series 6, 63, you were saying. I mean, these are tough tests to take.
Yeah, the financial industry requires a lot. So I've got a number of financial licenses, and it was, I'm thankful that I started studying for those right out of college. So, I was kept in that mode of learning and yeah. Wonderful.
You're a total inspiration. Let's go back to CP and funding. You went to Washington. Tell us about the time when you went to Washington, and what did you try to accomplish there?
So I've been to Washington a number of times, and the last time I believe was right around 2014, I believe. Me and a number of individuals from an organization that I belong to and sit on the board with, Reaching for the Stars. We went to Washington to ask for more funding from the NIH and Congress for cerebral palsy, because at the time, as you may or may not know, when they write budgets every year, the NIH has a specific budget that they allocate to various disabilities, various organizations maybe, and various causes.
Right.
For instance, autism maybe have a budget, a line item for their cause. Cystic fibrosis might have a line item for their cause. But as we got researching and looking at the various allocation of budgets, we realized that cerebral palsy is not even on the budget. Like, we literally had no line item on the budget. So, during our second trip to DC, we met with the NIH, and we were able to secure, at least that line item, and for the projected research and budgeting for cerebral palsy. Now there's more work to be done. There's obviously more budget to fight for, but without money, and the budget, it's hard to do the research and provide the funding for the research, to find causes, to find treatments, to maybe find a cure someday of how can we better prevent this. What's interesting is when I was diagnosed at 3 years old with cerebral palsy,
Right.
my mother had no resources available to her at all. We did all of the treatment, all the therapies, for the most part at home, and she was tasked with doing that as a parent. And what's interesting is we jump forward to where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are more, resources out there, but I mean, we're talking 40 some years.
Right. Right. That was the early 80s.
Yeah, there's early 80s, and we should be further along than what we are today.
Absolutely.
And the reason we're not is funding.
Why do you think there is a lack of funding regarding CP?
I think that it's a lack of visibility. I think when we went to Washington, we really put a light on the cerebral palsy cause. And I think that, those with the louder voices get heard. And, it's during our first trip to DC, we learned really about the bureaucracy and about how, I laugh about it today because I'm really a political guy, or I get into politics, but we learned how political Washington really was. And I guess I was very naive back then.
Right.
But it is, and it's, those who have the louder voices and those who have the higher stature, I guess, get heard. And our voices weren't loud enough. Are
celebrities doing a lot of, are they doing any work with CP that you know of?
I mean, there's a number of them that are that have worked within the CP community. RJ Mitty, he's the actor on Breaking Bad. I know that he's done some work with CP, and I've had the opportunity to meet with him over the years, and some other individuals are assisting with the advocacy work. But it's really a grassroots effort. I mean, you've got thousands and thousands of families that are affected by CP across the US at least. And one thing about disabilities, and I can speak more to the CP, is the resources there that it takes to raise a child with CP. It takes over $1 million to fully raise an individual affected in living with CP. So when you talk about funding and you talk about getting organizations together, a lot of the families that are affected, they're already strapped for resources. So it's difficult to get the groups together and get the funding. But I was fortunate to have joined the Reaching for the Stars organization. We've since kind of merged with the Cerebral Palsy Foundation today. And Cerebral Palsy Foundation has amazing resources on there. You can check them out on their website, and a lot more community action and resources available today than there were available in the early 80s.
Do they give out grants at all, or?
Cerebral Palsy Foundation?
Yeah.
I think there is some grant giving. That's really not my area of expertise within the organization. But yeah, I think I think they do assist as well.
Sure. So anybody, please head over to, is it Reaching for the Stars? I'll put all the information up at the end. It's Reaching for the Stars?
Reaching for the Stars was the old organization.
Oh, okay.
So we've since merged into the Cerebral Palsy, I'm sorry. Yes, the Cerebral Palsy Foundation, CPF. And you can go and Google them, visit their website as well.
Fantastic. Thank you. I called up Cerebral Palsy of Westchester here in New York City, here in New York, and I was talking to a wonderful woman in the Human Resources Department. I think her name was Tia, and she was telling me I had a question. So I'm like, you know, if these people with cerebral palsy, if they're not getting state funds, do they have a copay each time they're going for their therapy session? And they have to pay a copay if they do not have help from the state, which I find, you know, it's crazy. So each time they're trying to, you know, strengthen themselves or maintain because they have to pay a copay. And I found that very disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, that goes to the expense that I talked about. You know, if you've got, you know, what cerebral palsy does, it tightens up your muscles. Right. So you constantly have to work in therapy to loosen up your muscles and assist your body. And, you know, those therapies cost. There's cost associated with it. There's a lot of surgeries involved that can be involved in with assisting someone with cerebral palsy as well. And to my point earlier, a lot of these families don't have the resources to do so. I mean, there are, you know, Medicaid funding can assist, in, you know, if they apply and they're approved, that they can assist with that as well. But there is a costly expense to it.
Right. And not to mention the aides who work with these patients. They work sometimes around the clock and they're only getting minimum wage. So, you know, this needs a lot of help. And I hope maybe perhaps we touched upon and, you know, brought awareness to this because it needs more funding. It's definitely an organization that needs more funding because these people need help. They can contribute to society. They do have a voice and a life and a heartbeat. And I hope that helps.
Well, and yeah, and also, I mean, since I've been advocating for cerebral palsy, I've really found myself becoming an advocate for all with disabilities and not just cerebral palsy. And, you know, as I got more ingrained into other disabilities, they're no different than what cerebral palsy is. My sister works for the St. Nicholas Center in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and it's an autistic community because my nephew, who's 6, has autism. And as I learned more and more about the autism community, they deal with the same things. With the funding at these community centers and the ability to get funding for therapies. So it's a much needed area of our community. To your point, people with disabilities, it doesn't mean that they don't have the ability to do things. It means that they may have to approach things differently.
Right.
And one of my key points that I like to make is, if you really think about your life, we all are different. Yes. I mean, who really wants to be the same? So we all are different. We all have what I call not disabilities, but diffabilities.
Diffabilities.
Right? So, diffabilities.
I like that, Michael.
Like, you know, Melissa, you may be really good at something, and I'm not as good as what you are, right? But I may do things really well that you can't do either. So we just have different ways that we focus on things and different abilities. And we need to embrace that more versus dividing us.
Going back to what you said before with, what do you call it? Diffabilities?
Diffabilities. Yep.
Diffabilities. I like that. I saw you, and I have a quote here. I saw you on Good Day, Iowa. And what you said to one of the anchors, it resonated with me, and it made me feel very good. You said, and I quote, "You are the only one who can overcome your challenges. And they are not challenges, they are opportunities. And if you can turn those opportunities into helping other people, then everybody's better. Everyone's better." And I like that very much. And I want to thank you for saying that, because as we were speaking before, I have a hard time articulating what I say most of the time, right? So it's in here and I'm trying to get it out of the mouth. And, but here I am hosting a show and I try my best. And, I have a platform here that can help people. And I'm sure people are judging me with the way I talk sometimes or my vocabulary, and that's okay. Because as long as I get my message out, that's all that I care about. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah, I think that we, more and more people that have challenges, they need to embrace how they're different.
Yes.
And you need to be okay with that. And it took me a long time to embrace who I was. Yeah. And the challenges that I had, and actually embrace that I had disability, because I wouldn't even talk about it for, until I was in my 30s. Right. Because I myself, even though having a disability, I didn't want the stigma that came with it in society. And once I did embrace it, and once I did come out and tell my friends and tell my community, it was a weight off my shoulders, and no one treated me any differently.
Right.
So, it was a wake up call to me. But I think it's important. You go back to my quote, and I think that we need to look for ways that we can help other people and that we can give back to the community.
Yes.
And once I was able to embrace my disability, I saw an opportunity for me to actually give back to others.
Right.
And it's been one of the blessings of my life, is to be able to give back to these various communities. And I often say that I think that we all have a purpose in life. You just have to find it. And through my journey, I feel that this is my purpose.
Absolutely.
And many things have led me down this road to my purpose.
Such a positive way to look at, what's happened throughout your life. Before we get into your heart, I'd like to talk about what happened to you when you were 13. Let's just touch upon really quick bullying, because, we're in our 40s. So way back when, bullying was like, well, I just turned 40. Yeah. I kind of like it, over the hill.
We like our 40s.
Yeah, that's a lot of work now. But when we were children, when we were kids, bullying was like, I got bullied. Bullying was just the thing to do. So how did you overcome that? And now it's kind of, now it's kind of, if you're bullying, you're the devil. So now it's just, we're in a good place now. But how did you go through your bullying phase?
Yeah, overcome is a strong word. I don't know that I really did overcome. Is maybe just accept. And I think because people are going to do what they feel they need to do, regardless of what you say back to them, or various things. But it's growing up in the 80s on the playground was very difficult. To your question of overcoming or addressing things, I didn't do really a lot myself. I was blessed to have my twin by my side that guided me, that supported me, that was there to push the bullies away, and stand up for me. And a lot of people don't have that. And I wish they did. And but to that point, if you see that happening, you can be that person. Right? You can stand up and support your friends and other individuals that might be being bullied, because we all have diffabilities, right?
Yeah. Diffabilities. I love that,
so
Michael.
It's just I learned to cope with it, and to work with it, and my brother was a big help with it, to that point. Like I said, he deterred a lot of that away, and also the friendships that I made were attributed to my brother as well, because we were very close together and tight knit, and a lot of his friends became my friends, and once he opened that door a little bit and people got to know me and got to know who I was and the friend that I could be, they learned to accept me.
Right. I take back what I said before. Actually, we still do go through bullying. There's social media bullying, so as adults, it's never going to end.
It's ridiculous. It's, as much as I love social media and I'm on it, I'm on the Twitter, I'm on the Facebook and all that stuff. Sometimes it's just too much. It's just too much. And you probably remember the days as I do, that we didn't have it. And in some respects, life was so much simpler.
Yes.
And you didn't have your life exposed as much.
Right.
And I think there's some comfort in that. And I think there I just would like to move forward with inclusion, for all.
Yes.
If you look at various other communities like the LGBTQ community, and I look at the strides that they've made, and they have, from when we were growing up to where we are today with the LGBTQ community.
Oh yes.
It's night and day, and they have, yes, they still have roads to be gained, but they've gained a lot of acceptance out there in the community. And I think that, I'd like to give the disability community there as well, and show the world that, to my point earlier, we can be successful, we can do things, we can live normal lives. Some things we might need to just try harder to do,
right?
But that doesn't make us weaker. That makes us stronger.
Absolutely.
Because we have to adapt, and we have to try harder. You go back to me getting all my financial licenses. Growing up in school, I was C-level school. I was C-level student.
Right.
But it took more for me to study. It took more for me to test and to achieve those levels than it may for other individuals. So you gain, I think, with people with disabilities, gain a level of perseverance and a level of work ethic just through their day-to-day lives.
You're total living proof of living your life and having a full-time job and a family. So thank you. Thank you for all that information. Let's get to organ donation. It's near and dear to my heart. What happened to you, your heart transplant at the age of 13? Do you remember?
I remember it all. I think when you go through traumatic things in your life, those memories are always with you. And I was 13 years old, in the middle of my 8th grade year of middle school, and I became ill. And we thought I had the flu, and my mom was doing all the right things that a mother would do, and trying to nurse me back to health. And I still have this philosophy today is, if you're sick and it's viral, there's nothing a doctor can do for you. So, why am I gonna go, waste my copay in the hospital? So we kind of rode the illness out for a little while at home, and I just wasn't getting better. So
what were your symptoms, Michael? I'm sorry, what were your symptoms?
I mean, it was complete flu-like symptoms.
Oh, okay.
It was, not being able to keep food down. It was very weak, exhaustion, dehydration after a while. I thought I had the flu. And then when we went and we got the x-rays at the hospital, we realized that my heart was actually enlarged. And then finally a cardiologist, came in and did tests on me, and come to find out that my heart was failing, and I need a heart transplant.
Wow.
And at that time, I was told that I had 3 to 4 weeks to live.
Do you remember I'm sure you remember the feeling. What did you feel when you first heard that?
Well, I think when you're 13 years old, you really don't know what that means.
Right.
So I didn't even know what a heart transplant was. I thought that they just maybe had a heart in the back room in like a pickle jar. They could, take it off the shelf and put it in, and we'd be okay.
Right.
So I was more concentrated, more excited about missing school and maybe how much ice cream I could eat in the hospital.
Wow.
Until, moments later, when my family, who was bedside with me, kind of, I could tell there was emotion there, and they spoke up and started asking some serious questions, and I think that's when it really sunk in. And I reflected a lot over those next 3 weeks, and there was, here I am. I'm 13 years old, but there's so much more life to live. There's college, there's driving a car, there's having a girlfriend, there's everything that's in front of you, and not enough time to do it all. And I gained a huge perspective on life in a very short time. So it was a scary moment in my life, but one that I'll never take back.
The things that we take for granted in this life, it's just, I could imagine your family being so scared, your mama, and especially your twin brother and your sister. I mean, I could imagine just what went through their mind.
Yeah.
But God bless you sitting here.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that of course I was fortunate enough that, after, within those 3 weeks, I went in cardiac arrest, and I was, able to of course, receive the organ donation. But there's a lot of perspective there on life, like I mentioned, and you really gain that appreciation. It's not appreciation for, hey, what am I going to wake up and do for the day? It's not appreciation for the things that I had, the just the tangible things that I have in life. It's appreciation that you know what, I actually woke up today.
Yes. Yes.
So instead of, you know, just waking up and having your bucket list for the day or different things, just be happy you woke up.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is appreciation for the people in your life.
Yeah.
And the love for the people in your life.
And you're lucky if you do have that support and love, you know.
You are.
Ever since like my parents left, I feel as if I don't have that, you know. So you know, I just feel happy for people who do have that support and love.
Yeah.
So yeah, as soon as you wake up, as soon as my eyes open up, oh, I could see. Thank you. Thank you for another day.
Exactly. And it's, you know, we take some of that for granted some days.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we need not to.
Do you know who your donor was and what happened to the person?
I don't. I've heard some stories regarding it, and a lot of it's, you know, disclosed or kept secret by HIPAA and various things. You know, I reached out a number of years ago to try to coordinate a meeting and wasn't successful.
Okay.
And yeah, so I don't really know, but yeah, there's just gratitude, you know, and how do you even express the gratitude that you would have for an individual, and you just can't put into words the amount of love and you know, life that someone's been able to provide me.
Right.
I was 13, I'm 42. I mean, let's talk about like friendships,
Yeah.
you know, education. Let's talk about my own family and the years they've had. I have a 16-year-old son who has been able to, you know, be born because of someone else. I have causes that I support. I have people that I affect through my philanthropy work. It's a ripple down effect, and that's just due to one individual saying, you know what, I'm gonna do better. I'm going to give back. I'm going to I know it's an old kind of term, but like pay it forward.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And I'm going to just do good. And I think that we all kind of, you know, if I can kind of have people kind of think about that and on how their death can actually or may actually bring life to other people, because there's so much negative connotation and negative, you know, stigma around organ donation.
What is one of them?
I mean, one, clearly just that, you know, people are afraid that, you know, a surgeon's going to come in and like, you know, chop their organs up and they're not going to be able to have a funeral, or they're not going to be respected. And I completely understand that. But there's so much respect done in the process. You know, I'll tell you what, I respect my donor 100%.
Yeah.
And so does everyone else that touched that my life has been touched by. You know, there's various other myths out there, and all to which can be talked through and debunked. But it's an amazing ability, the technology to be able to do some of this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They, according to Life America, 95% of Americans support organ donation. However, only 54% are registered.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you know,
Yeah, it's a very eye-opening statistic, right?
yeah,
And I think part of that really circles around the process of the mental process around signing up to be an organ donor. Because when you have to sign up to be an organ donor, you're actually thinking about your death, right? And who really wants to do that? You know, it's not a happy topic. And really the only time that you're approached is when you go to the DMV,
right.
right? And so, you know, one of the things that I want to change is making it more of an approachable topic. Maybe putting that type of topic or questioning in other areas that you do speak of death, whether it be writing your will, whether it be, you know, maybe life
Life
insurance,
insurance, right.
or other areas where you approach that topic, to be giving tools and resources to become an organ donor. And yeah, one of the easiest ways is just registerme.org and go and sign up to be an organ donor.
Thank you so much for that information. I had a gentleman by the name of Eric Thatcher. I told his father that I would mention him, and he is on a list waiting for a kidney, a live kidney he needs. In 2015, he had kidney cancer, and they took 2/3 of his left kidney out. And then they told him, because I guess you take, one takes medication. What is that called? Anti-rejection medication.
Yep.
So that
it's immunosuppressants.
Mhm.
Yeah. So to suppress your immune system, and they can have an adverse effect on your kidneys.
That's what happened to him. So poor, you know, he's such a wonderful human being. He's so selfless. He thinks of other people more before him, and he's in total kidney failure right now. To learn more about Eric Thatcher and how you can help, please head over to nkr.org/X-ray Paul 733. You are in the middle of writing a book.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm kind of towards the end in the final editing, but I'm looking forward to it coming out in the months ahead. Yeah, it's really a story about my life. It's a memoir, and goes through the twists and turns of you know, my childhood and my adult life, and I you know, I wrote it to be to share the story. It's been on a bucket list of mine for a number of years, but I share it as a sense of motivation for other people. That, you know, even though I'm an individual that's been through a lot in my life, and for you know, some people call it a miracle, some people call it inspirational, so some people call it just, you know, good luck. I just call it life. And you know, there's a lot of people in the world that give up on certain things in their life, and they think that life is too hard some days. And I disagree, because life throws you challenges, and life throws you obstacles, and those are thrown to you for a reason. And there's a lesson in those, and you need to learn the lesson, get through the lesson, because once you do, that lesson will redirect you onto your purposeful path to enlightenment. So, you know, no one said the world's easy.
Yeah.
But you have to own your life and walk through it as gracefully as you can.
Is this what you teach your son?
Yeah, I tried to. It's it's about the gift I was given. It was about giving back to others. I try to instill that value in him, but also to walk along his path with purpose and find that purpose. So
I think you're the best. I'm sorry. It's been an emotional year.
It's been a crazy year.
It's been a crazy year.
And we're the same age. Roughly, I've got a couple more years on you.
I'm the baby.
But I think that it's a year to learn.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a year to embrace those things I was talking about that you appreciate, the people. It's a year to learn about relationships. And I think about my kids growing up in this pandemic. I mean, can you believe it? Like we are living a pandemic.
How does that make you feel as a parent? I mean, where they have to wear these masks and.
It terrifies me. But I also look at the brighter side. I was telling one of my kids the other night, like, I feel fortunate that you are living through this pandemic now. And she why? Like, this sucks, right? I can't see my friends. I can't do this. I can't do that. Well, yeah, but you know what? You have a cell phone. You have FaceTime. You have the internet.
That's right.
You have cable. You have a warm house over your head and food to eat. So I know life sucks. And I know that it's interrupting your informative years. And I feel for that. Right? Because my kids are, middle school to high school, and it's informative years.
Right.
And one elementary as well. And it's very hard for them. But on the brighter side, could you imagine back when we were growing up going through this?
No, we would be playing Nintendo the whole time and ColecoVision.
If we had Nintendo.
Yeah.
I mean, my old VHS movie tapes would be probably broken by now.
It's true. It's true.
And looking for ways to entertain ourselves. So even though it's gloomy out and this is a very difficult time for us all.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic with the recent news, and I see the light. Just gotta hold in there.
What's up? I see the light with you, and I'm so honored to know you now. Michael's going to be in Preferred Health Magazine this winter's edition. We're going to do a nice profile on him, and just thank you so much for everything. You're amazing.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
My brother taught me one of the most valuable lessons I'll ever learn in my whole life when we were about 10 years old. We were on a basketball court outside of our house in Cedar Rapids. And we were playing a friendly game of horse, right? We all know what the game of horse is. Well, guess who was losing? I was. Didn't happen often, right? But I was still losing. I was down to the last letter. Chris grabbed that ball. He dribbled it between his legs. He thought he was Michael Jordan or something. I don't know what he was thinking. But he went underneath the basket. He took the ball in his right hand, looked up at the basket, said right-handed backboard shot. Threw that ball up, hit the backboard, and it went in. He threw the ball to me, said, your turn. Now we're down the last letter. This is it. Game over. I grabbed that ball, went underneath the basket, and put it in my left hand. Put it in my left hand, I looked up at the hoop, threw that ball up, hit the backboard, went in, swoosh. Threw the ball to him, I said, game on. He looked at me kind of puzzled. He says, that wasn't a shot. So what do you mean? One-handed backboard shot. I made it. I said, no. It's like called a right-handed backboard shot. You have to use your right hand. Now, as I mentioned, cerebral palsy is a motor disability. And it affects the right side of my body. So I have very limited mobility on my right side. I went and I sat down on the railroad ties next to our basketball hoop that day. And I sulked. And I told him, I said, it's not fair. You know I can't make that shot. You know I've tried, and you've seen me try it. I can't make that shot. And he said to me those words that I'll remember for the rest of my life. He said, Michael, he said, what are you going to do? He said, are you just going to sit there and do nothing? Just blame this for the rest of your life? He says, I can't make that shot for you. Mom certainly isn't going to come out here and make that shot for you. You're the only one that can put that ball in the hoop. You're the only one that can make that shot. He's right, right? I mean, how many obstacles, and that being one of my obstacles, do you face every day that you're the only one that can overcome it? Can people help you? Sure. Definitely, always welcome people's help. But truly, are they the one that makes that shot? No, you're the only one that can actually make that shot and overcome that obstacle.
Do you want to know how you can be a registered organ donor? Head over to organdonor.gov. Be that one who saves a life. To learn more about the Cerebral Palsy Foundation, please head over to yourcpf.org.
If you have a vegan product, make your vegan claim official with the only accredited vegan trademark in the world. Visit www.beveg.com. That's www.beveg.com to apply now. Making a Difference is sponsored by Preferred Health Magazine. Please visit www.preferredhealthmagazine.com today and subscribe.